Hey everybody, I'm here with Johnny,
Hi guys.
and we're excited. Why are we excited, Johnny?
Well, I am pretty excited because we are having church this Sunday.
No kidding.
This Sunday we're having church.
And I would not have guessed that a week ago.
No, there's no way you saw it coming.
No, we just did not. But we are super excited. And so we're just going to get right in here and try to share some details with all of you and hopefully make things clearer and not muddier. That's our goal, right?
I think so. We want to make it clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that's the goal.
Yes, we're going to make it clear.
So we're going to try our best to make it clear.
To be safe though, it's good for them to know that the information that we're talking about, they have already received.
Yes, that's
so
right.
if we muddy anything, really, we can't take responsibility for that. They have
Absolutely.
the.
You have received an email. It's all in the documents there.
Yeah.
So, and they could even potentially hold us accountable
if they wanted to.
if they wanted.
Yeah.
That we went off script or something like that.
Yeah, that could be done.
That could be done. All right. So, firstly, the most important thing: there's going to be 2 services during this whole stage 2 of reopening. And the first service is going to be at 9:30 in the morning, and the second service is going to be at 11 o'clock.
Okay. So with the service, there's a couple changes that will happen, and if you've been working at all or anything like that, you know about some of the rules that are in place and where you're trying to eliminate touch points where everybody's touching the same place for safety reasons and for everyone's best interest. And with that, there will not be an offering, so the ushers will not be coming around and passing around the offering bag for the service for that sake. But there will be a donation box outside. And also we can continue with e-transfers, of course, as we have done.
When you say outside, you mean in the foyer, you don't mean outside.
Yeah, not outside the building,
right.
but inside the building, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the box is in a safe place.
Well, I just figured we wanted to be clear is what we said.
That is true. I goofed up really bad there already.
All right.
Yeah.
And right along that line, it is in our summer schedule now, we will be having children's features on Sunday mornings, but also for the same reasons that Johnny just said, and because of the kids and some of the vulnerabilities, children will be asked to remain seated during the children's feature.
Very good. So along with the whole seating plan then, and this is just common sense, but we got to mention it anyway. During this time, families and households need to be seated together. So this includes you youth. I know you like your corner over there, but for this time right now, for this phase, we're going to ask you to sit with your parents, with your siblings, and that way we can seat as many people as possible safely.
As embarrassing as that might be for them.
Very, yeah.
Yeah, but I think they will get over it.
And it also may actually help for some people to know whose kids those are.
Hey, that's a very good point. Yeah, we might know who some of the stragglers are.
Very good.
Awesome. And so right with that, obviously, it's important that we explain how we actually plan to put this into practice. Many of you know that the regulation is that we're allowed to have church 30% capacity of our building. So in our situation, the math works out to be 90 people approximately.
Per service.
Per service, 90 people. So because of that, we have split our church into 4 groups. So you have received in your emails a paper that looks like this. It's got a chart at the top with the dates and the 2 service times for each date. And then you have a 4-square chart with all the different groups. So the whole church is split into 4 groups. So you might be wondering why 4 groups instead of 2? Because technically we could have split into 2 groups. You know, one group early service, next group the late service. Next Sunday we could have switched it. Other group early service, vice versa. But the thing is, then you wouldn't see everybody. If you're just the one group, you would just see the one group for however long this goes on. But this way, with having 4 groups and it's being switched, as you will see in the chart there for the dates. So over the course of 4 weeks, you will see everybody. Every group that comes to church.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good decision because you miss everybody, right?
Yes.
Some may be more than others, but you miss everybody, and we want to see everybody. So I think it's a really good setup. At first, I thought when the groups came out that you had made here, that this was kind of like grading, and so like we made it into Group B. I was pretty excited. You know, what is that? Is that above 70?
I think
in school. That's around 70.
Yeah.
But we definitely were quite a ways away from making it into Group A. I could tell. But then I realized that it actually is alphabetical, and so you didn't really pick favorites so much as you just went by the directory.
Well, hey, some people have it, and some people don't.
Yeah, clearly, and you're in Group A right near the top, and that makes sense. That makes sense. The scorekeeper always wins.
Yeah, that's right. But also to mention there with the whole groups and coming to church, we recognize that there's going to be some inconveniences with that. And sometimes you will be in the early service and you would really not like to not be in the early service. Sometimes maybe you're in the late service, you like to be in the early service. Just try to be patient during this time. And we ask you as much as possible to stick within your assigned group. So if your group, if Group A is assigned for the morning early service, please stick to that. It just makes it, it saves for not having complications and for the ushers and so on.
Yeah, and I think along with that, Abe, I'm just thinking, like, if you see the paper that Abe emailed out, you'll see the numbers there, and our church has actually grown quite a bit. And so if you see we're in the mid-40s everywhere, that's right around that mark.
Yeah.
And so we have to be careful that we don't mess around with it too much if we want to try to stick to the rules as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that very thing said as well, this is maybe really unorthodox to announce to a church, is that we actually have very little room during this time for visitors.
Yeah.
And so even though we would not want to turn someone away that just arrives, this is not the best time for us to be inviting people. And maybe, especially people maybe from other churches.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's something that we should keep in mind, so that we can leave some room for people who are maybe walking in, or people who are discouraged maybe in our community exactly that could use this, and that we can be a blessing to them. So
exactly. And we really want to highlight to everyone, just because you've been put in a group, if you've been put in a group, that means that you would recognize this as being your home church. And so we just want to acknowledge that some may not feel comfortable or ready to come to church. Just because you're in a group does not mean that you're obligated to come to church.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in a group, you can look at the chart. Once you feel you're ready, please come.
Yeah.
You're welcome to come. So only come if you're comfortable. And this is not just for attenders, this is also for our volunteers as well. We absolutely appreciate our volunteers, and
Very
we
much,
definitely
yes.
will need some volunteers for different things throughout this time. But even if you are a volunteer, if you do not feel comfortable coming, hey, that is good. We support you in that, and we want people to come if they feel ready and comfortable.
absolutely, and we look forward to seeing everybody. But I think that's important, and also with the whole level of comfort. What about the whole mask thing? And so we've decided that, like Trudeau said, it is okay to wear a mask. We make fun of this all the time at work anyway. But if you want to, you will have to bring your own. So it's a bring your own mask type of party. And if that makes you feel safer, please feel free to do so.
And absolutely, and don't feel bad for it. If that's what
No, absolutely not.
You bring a mask, you wear it, and it'll be good. Absolutely. So, there are several, obviously, obligations that we have during this time. One of the obligations that the Ministry of Health, so the local health units, has for all workplaces, and not just workplaces, even places of worship during this time, is that everybody on their own does a self-assessment asking 4 questions. And if you say yes to any one of these questions, it's recommended that you do not come to the service. So what's the first question, Doug?
Have you been advised, I went ahead of myself here now. Are you feeling sick or experiencing any symptoms of COVID-19? So no doubt, everyone has heard these symptoms probably, I don't know how many times. We know. And so if you have those symptoms, or if you are not feeling well, then that would be one of the questions. If you're saying yes to that, it would be recommended to.
And to add a little bit to that, I know it's been said to me that I have to clear my throat often to cough. And in the list, if you look at the detailed list from the health unit, it says coughing is one of the symptoms. So if you cough, does that mean you can't come to church? Well, you know whether your cough is a standard cough that you've had all your life because you have a scratchy throat, or whether it's because you're sick. You know the difference as individuals. So that's what we ask you, just to be responsible.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a lot of need for common sense with these things, right?
Yeah. The second question is, have you been advised to quarantine as a result of travel outside of the country in the last 14 days? So if you've traveled outside the country for pleasure, then you're required to quarantine, which means, unfortunately, you can't come to church during that time either. But one point of clarification that we need to make here. Truck drivers who cross the border, they are deemed essential workers, they are not required to quarantine when they come home. So that's why we say for those who have been advised or required to quarantine.
That's right.
So I know there's been some questions and some doubts surrounding the question of truckers, but it is our understanding with the homework that we've done, truckers are not required to quarantine because they're considered essential workers, and when they cross the border, they're not mingling with people. They're going to their place, their truck is being unloaded, they're coming home.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we need to worry about that. And so they are exempt from this under normal circumstances if they're not sick.
Very good. Next would be, have you come in physical contact with someone who has tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 14 days? So perhaps you've known someone that has been involved in this. I actually personally don't know anyone. And but I mean, maybe someone has come in contact with somebody or has known someone, has maybe visited them, or whatever the case may be. If that's you, then that would also be one of the, if that's within the last 2 weeks, then that would also be one of the things.
Then the fourth and last question is just simply, if you are a person that is at risk due to other underlying health conditions. So an example would be if you're currently battling cancer and you're getting chemo, it would be a very bad idea to go out. Like they discourage going out in public, period, and especially to a public gathering place. And so they say if you have a pre-existing condition or underlying health medical condition,
immune system,
exactly, that you are suggested to not come to the service during this time.
Good. With some of the procedures then, when we come to church, so the first one kind of goes along with some of the things we just covered, but we would ask you to take a self-assessment prior to entering the building. And anyone who's been at any public place has seen posters on every business's door and just outlining some of the things that we just talked about. Are you feeling okay? Or have you been traveling? All those kind of things that we just discussed. And so basically, do a self-assessment before you enter the building, and that way you're taking some responsibility.
Basically, this is a repeat of what we just said, the 4 questions, and you're just asked to do that every Sunday before you come.
Yeah, exactly.
You repeat it. So the next thing is, this is something that we're obligated to actually do by Ministry of Labor during this time, is that everybody enters the building through one door and you exit through a different door. So everybody's gonna enter through our front main entrance, and there will be signs and so on, but when you leave the building, you are required to exit the side door, not the front door.
Come in through the front, go through the side.
Out to the side. Exactly.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Sanitize or wash your hands upon arrival. And so this is also common practice for most places that you go to, but we have hand sanitizer here. It will be provided. And whether the ushers are going to do this when you come in or whatever, it will be made very available. And so we ask that everyone either sanitize their hands or go straight to the washroom and wash your hands when you come in.
Yeah, and it's recommended to do it when you leave as well, because you may have come in contact with somebody for your own, because you'll probably be touching your face eventually after you leave. So it's recommended to do it when you leave as well. So during the time that you're in the building, we are required to practice physical distancing. So
what does that mean?
Well, 6 feet is what they say.
Okay.
Is physical distancing, and we've heard that in the last 3 months many times. So the whole 6 foot thing is maybe getting a little old, but that's still a thing, and we need to be respectful of that and try our best to adhere to that while we're inside the building and outside the building.
Do we have stickers that we can put on the floor in the lobby here, like so that we can?
I think maybe
everybody stands on one stick.
Find smiley faces, like those
That
yellow happy faces.
Yeah.
Maybe we could find them somewhere.
And then if you're standing on one of those, you're happy and you're safe.
You're happy and you're safe.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
No promises that will happen, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, along with that, also we ask that you minimize the need for washroom use. So again, this goes back to what we said at the opening of trying to eliminate touch points where multiple people are touching the same areas. And so, if possible, we want to use the restrooms as little as possible during this time.
Yeah, very good. I just forgot one thing on the last point there about physical distancing inside and outside. Just as a point of reference, that Ministry of Labor document that was also emailed out to everybody, it does state on there to refrain from congregating out in the parking lot as well.
Okay.
So the ministry would be expecting that we're also practicing physical distancing even once we exit the building. Yeah,
and then I think one thing to go along with that, I just thought of it now you mentioned it, is that It is actually probably more so important. Like, if we have people from the community watching, and sometimes when you go through stuff like this, you will have people looking for reasons, even looking for reasons to maybe call someone in or whatever it may be. It's probably a really good idea that, especially in the parking lot, we don't congregate and make a scene to give anyone a reason to cause trouble.
Of course, that doesn't mean you can't chat with somebody on your way to your car. Of course not. We're just suggesting that we don't form big groups.
Yeah, and to be clear, also, we have no plans on having any ushers or anyone policing.
Yeah.
That's not the goal here, right? We're just trying to make sure that we stay out of trouble and do everything possible that we can stay clear of that.
So the next thing, and this is something that we are just recommending as a church, and this is regarding your arrival and departure time. Because we're having 2 services, and because we're supposed to make every effort to minimize risk, and for those reasons, we're asking that you aim to arrive at the service not more than 10 minutes prior to the service. So if you're at the 9:30 service, please don't come before 9:20, unless, of course, if you're serving. If you're volunteering, it's different. But if you're attending, please don't come more than 10 minutes prior to the service. And then also, once the service is over, our aim is that approximately 10 minutes after the service is done, that you're on your way out, especially in between the 2 services, because there's going to be other people coming, and so on. And so that's the reason for that.
Okay. And then one thing also that we're required to do is we're required to track our attendance. And so basically, how does this work? Is it like school where you call people's name and I say present, or what's the plan?
That would be entertaining.
It would.
Should we try it?
Well, we could. We could try it. So I guess what we will have is we'll have a volunteer that's going to be at the door when you come in, and they're going to record our names.
They will just write your name down, and don't worry, it's not to get you in trouble. We're not like selling your name to some online marketing. That's not what we're doing. So don't worry.
Is it just a name, or is it credit card information as well?
I think it might be a good idea to take credit card information.
Because we can't do the offering right now.
Hey, you're onto something.
Maybe.
No, it's just a name.
Just a name. Okay. Very good.
Very good. And then lastly, to wrap this all up, we just want to wholeheartedly remind everybody and encourage everyone, let's be mindful and respectful of everyone during this time. Because we come here, we have different circumstances.
Sure.
We have different political views, let's just be honest, we do. And we have different fears, different concerns. Let's be very respectful of one another. Whether you're wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, whether you think it's silly or whether you think people aren't being safe enough, let's all do our part and do our best. Let's respect one another, and let's just enjoy the fellowship and the worship together. And remember the reason why we're coming here, and that is to worship our Heavenly Father. And let's try to be respectful as much as we can.
I think that's really well said, and I think we can't overemphasize that. Just to be sensitive to other people.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining me, Johnny.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure.
I look forward to Sunday. We look forward to seeing all of you. And thank you for your support and your prayer and for your patience. So blessings to all of you. We'll see you all on Sunday.
Yeah, see you Sunday.